Hello, everyone. Gatesy from Forge from Iron. Thanks for joining us. In the hot seat, I've got James Fatboy Feaver. How you doing, son?
Very well, mate. Very good.
Good. It's a good time to be a West Ham fan right now, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, mate. I feel very proud at the minute to be a West Ham fan. The season we're having, thoroughly enjoyable. It's going to be interesting to see on Monday how we bounce back, but the team's giving us confidence. So, yeah, it's a good time at the minute.
I think Monday's game will be quite interesting because Leeds United remind me a little bit of Kevin Keegan's Newcastle in the sort of early mid-90s. I think they're a team that going forwards, they look really, really good. And you'd probably pay to watch them, to be fair, if you were a neutral. But I think they're quite brittle at the back. I think they can be got at, and that's where I think we're going to get a little bit of joy. So, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
A lot can happen in 90 minutes, and you just never know in Premier League football. On any given day, any team can beat anyone else. So we can't go in with any complacency, I think it's fair to say. But I'm reasonably confident, as I'm sure you are. What are your score predictions?
3-1 West Ham. I think Leeds will come on to us, and then we're just going to counter-attack.
Yeah.
It's a good game for West Ham to play, but we've got to be sensible about it. If we try and go attack versus attack, it could be a 6-4 game. But I think with the way the team's playing after the Man City game, we've all played well. We was all in high spirits after a defeat. The future's positive, basically, but it's a big game for everyone sort to bounce back for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the City game was, although it was a defeat, I think afterwards you look at it in the cold light of day and you realise that you're playing against a team that are not playing by the same rules that you are. They're backed by, multi-billionaire owners, and we're just not on the same page as them. So for us to go there and compete the way we did, and we were, looking at it and thinking, well, actually, we should have at least got a point, and who knows, on another day might have got all three. Just shows you the sort of like the sort of form that we're in at the minute, that we're actually able to be competitive against teams like that. So we'll see what happens on Monday night. So before I go any further, guys, if for anyone that's watching, I'm going to do my shout out before we go too much further. Isla's Army. So for any of you watching that are not too sure what this is all about, there's a young girl by the name of Isla Caton. She is very poorly. She needs life-saving treatment, which is very, very expensive and is not available on the NHS. So her family needs to stop what they're doing and go and get her the medical attention that she desperately needs to save her life. If any of you guys that are watching this have any money in your pocket that you can spare to this very worthwhile cause, you've got the details there in front of you, the PayPal, the Just Giving, anything you can contribute to the fighting fund, whether it's £1, whether it's £10, £50, whatever it might be, the family would be very, very grateful for your help, I am sure. Thank you very much for listening. So, why are we here, ladies and gentlemen? Well, the reason we are here is because James is going to tell us the tier list for the squad for next season and beyond, but certainly for next season. So, just to show everybody what we're talking about, we have a tier list right here. Now, according to Wikipedia, we have 38 members of our first team squad. Some of them are out on loan, like Winston Reid, and some of them are not actually our players, like Jesse Lingard. However, James is going to run the rule over all 38 players, some of whom will probably not be that familiar to people, but a lot of them will be. And James will give his reasoning for a lot of them. A lot of them will be fairly self-explanatory. Some of them might not be that difficult to define. Might not be that easy to define, excuse me. So over to you, James. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to go. So the first player on the list, so these go alphabetically. Now, the first player we're going to pull in is Oladapo Afolayan, scored against Doncaster in the FA Cup.
I'm going to start. What I'll do it in number formation, like one being the top and 5 being the bottom, and I'll go through it that way. I'll just shout, this lad, I'm going to say number 4 on this one, unsure. because I think he needs more time out on loan. I think he scored against Doncaster, but he needs to sort of learn his trade. So I'm going to say I'm unsure about him. I haven't seen enough of him to say like that he could be a star of the future. But yeah, I would start off with that one. I'm unsure.
Okay, no problem at all, mate. No problem at all. So, next one on the hit list, we have Tunji Akinola. Tunji Akinola.
Yeah, again, I don't have to say number 4 again. Like until you see him in the Premier League, we all remember Freddie Sears years ago. Like, scored a couple of goals. Everyone thought he'd be the next Tony Cottee, and now he's in Colchester, I think, or Ipswich. So I'm going to have to start off with saying number 4 again. Unsure, mate.
Yeah, I think a lot of these are probably going to go into that category. As I say, a lot of these will be fairly self-explanatory. The next one is we've got Aji Alese. Aji Alese.
Defender. Yeah. Possibly a star for the future. Possibly. Yep. But that's like, again, we need to see him learning his trade with a lot of the youngsters. We've got a lot of youngsters at the club, but none of them seem to go out on loan very often. Like,
yes.
And that's the only issue that I've got with that one. Possibly a star for the future, I would say on that one. So yeah, number 3 for me.
Yeah, no problem at all. So the next one we come to is the signing that we made in January from Silkeborg in the Danish league, Frederick Alves.
I've heard a lot of good things about this man. From what I'm hearing, I think he's definitely. I wouldn't say he's a key, like he's definitely a long-term player, but what I'm hearing, he's definitely going to be in the next 2 to 3 years. He's going to be phenomenal. He just needs to learn his trade basically. When you come to the Premier League, it's a hard league. It's the best league in the world. It's fast, it's pacey, and he's 2-footed. He's good on the ball, but he's just got to get a bit of composure when he's on the ball. So I'm going to say that a long-term future, definitely. Like from what I'm hearing, I'll definitely put him in that bracket, 100%.
Yeah. No, I would be inclined to agree there. I think if he can hit the ground running, I've heard the same as you. I've heard a lot of good things. I haven't seen him. I have to be brutally honest. I'm going on what I've heard other people saying and little snippets. But again, there seems to be a common theme that there's a lot of good things that I'm hearing about the guy. He's a raw talent, and you never quite know how it's going to turn out. But I think if he can really come through, I think next season, I think Moyes will try and rotate him with the other centre backs that we're going to have. And I think he, all things being well, I think he could be a vital cog in the Moyes machine next season, hopefully.
So, yeah, definitely. Totally agree.
I've got a funny feeling I know where this next person might go, but you might just shock me. Felipe Anderson.
It's time to go, mate, I'm afraid. It's time to sell him. I'm gutted, really, with Anderson, because there was a player there, but I just don't think he's suited to the Premier League. I think when you can't get in the Porto team, then there's a problem. Do you know what I mean? You're going into Portugal, which is a pretty weak league. They've only got like Sporting Lisbon, Benfica, Porto, amongst a couple of the teams, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, and probably Braga if you're going to go into it a bit more. Yeah. But other than that, when you can't get into that team, then there's a problem there. I think he needs to be sold. He needs a fresh start, and we need a fresh start. And I think if we get anywhere in the region of between 10 and 15 million from we've got some money back. Do you know what I mean? So I would sell him 100%.
Yeah, I was reading earlier. I think he's only had 2 appearances in all competitions for Porto in this calendar year. The last which being the beginning of February, where he lasted 57 minutes, and he hasn't been seen since. Which for a guy that we spent what 35 million quid on. You just think, wow,
38. I think it was. I think it was 38 million,
isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous amount of money. But there you go. I'm inclined to agree with you, mate. I think there is a player there. You can't play for the Brazilian national team, or play for the Serie A for a team like Lazio, and not have some quality about you. But do you know what? I think it's his courage. I think it's his bottle. I don't think he's got it.
Yeah, I think what it is, the simple way of looking at it is, some people can hack the league, some people can't. Like the physicality, the pace, the power of the Premier League, and I just think he did it at the start, and I just think it's run its course now, basically. But yeah, sadly, he's got to go, mate. Fresh start for everyone all round.
Part of it might be that he just doesn't. He's not a David Moyes type player. Do you think that basically his death warrant was signed the moment Pellegrini went out and David Moyes rocked up?
I just don't think whether David Moyes is in charge or you had some other manager in charge, I just don't think he fits the Premier League, mate. If I'm honest, if you want me to be truthfully honest here, you've got a player who's very lightweight, who basically, what's the word? He's skillful, slick, but he can't handle the rough and tumble of it. Like if you're going up to Burnley on a Tuesday night or Wednesday night, freezing cold, is he going to turn up and perform? Now, we used to say that about players going to Stoke on a Tuesday night, but we use Burnley as an example. If you're going up to there, you've got to perform. And I just don't think he does. I think he's not made for the Premier League. I think Italy really suits him because of the style of the play, and it's very slow.
It's slower, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a build-up of play, yeah. So for me, it's sad to see him go, but it's one of them ones that's just basically hasn't worked out, basically.
Yeah, I think you have to draw a line under it at some point and move on. But so the next player, Michail Antonio.
He's a key player now, but I think he has got a couple. I'm going to say number 2 for this one. Yep. The reason being is his age and his injury record will catch up in the end, and then the injuries start getting more frequent. Is he a key player now? Absolutely. He's an absolute key player to this club at the minute. But as a long-term thing, if you look at it 2-3 years down the road, his injuries will catch up. And it just seems like every season the man gets injured, like with us somewhere along the line. And he just can't seem to get away from having an injury. But a couple more seasons. I would like it that we bring a player in who can learn off Antonio, like an Ivan Toney, for instance, as an example. And then basically Antonio can be like a Mark Noble type player, come off the bench and do a job. And that's how I would like to see it happen. But yeah, number 2 for me. I'll give him a season or 2.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I think when players tend to hit 30, they tend to sort of go downhill a little bit. I mean, some go quicker than others. Some players are pretty much done when they're 32. Some players can go on 35, 36, no problem at all. It just depends, doesn't it? But I think you're right. Sort of for me, I think it could be with Antonio that the accumulation of hamstring injuries left, right and centre. Is he going to be the player at 32 that he is at 30? I think it's difficult to say. I'm not so sure.
I just think injuries, especially the hamstring injuries, once you start having them and they start pulling from time to time, then it becomes an issue, doesn't it? So it's one of them ones, really. But I would like him to bring in a striker in the summer who can learn off Antonio. Antonio still be there for 2 years and then basically hand the reins over, a bit like our Noble has with Declan Rice. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Next player, Harrison Ashby.
I haven't seen much of him, so I'm going to have to say I'm not sure on this one. He's not like these sort of players. The only thing is I keep hearing their names, but I don't ever see them out on loan anywhere. And that's the problem. Like, these players need to be out on loan. Right, a lot of them are sort of in the under 23s, and they just sit in the under 23s. Go and play for a team like Dagenham Redbridge or something, or Leighton Orient or Southend or something along that line. So you're playing week in, week out, and basically learning your trade, basically, because like some of them they just seem to sit in the under 23s and expect just to be picked out to start for the first team. So yeah, for me, it's unsure on that one.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. That's fair, absolutely. So the next one we're going to look at is Fabian Balbuena.
I've said this recently, and I'll say it now. I think it's time to go, mate. He's been okay with us, but what done it for me was the Tottenham away game back in October, where we come back from 3-0 down to 3-0. I know he scored in that game, but he was just so slow. He's such a slow player. Yet again, another player who would be fitted for Italian football. Like, I think he would be a top defender in Italy. But in the Premier League, you've got pace and power coming from like left, right, and centre. And in the first sort of 16 minutes of that game, it was just apparent that he's just too slow. Now, people can say about Dawson and Ogbonna, but his communication is a problem and all. I think when he was partnered with Diop, the communication wasn't fluent. So, yeah, to me, if you've got Alves coming through, I'd rather have the Alves there and learn from Ogbonna, Dawson, and Issa Diop. So yeah, I think it's time for Balbuena to go. The general's been good, but sometimes you just got to say goodbye, really, and say, you know what, you've done well for us, and it's time to move on.
Well, he's 29 years of age. His contract's up in the summer. I've heard that he wants to move on, and that's perfectly fine. You know, it's one of those, isn't it? You just sort of say, okay, fine, not a problem. We move on. So job done.
Yeah.
Next player on the list, Jamal Baptiste.
Oh, I'm going to put him at the star for the future.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I think he. But he's another one though. Rob, he needs game time, mate. He needs to be out on loan.
Yeah.
Like you need. And the thing is, these players, as I keep saying it to you, they need to be going to League One standard, do a season there, and then join a championship club, and then go from there basically and work your way up. If you can't do it when you're coming from under 23 straight in there. Declan Rice and Ben Johnson, you can argue that one, but you ain't gonna have them all coming through the door like that. Some of them have got to go out and learn basically. But yeah, he's definitely a star for the future, 100%.
Yeah, no, I'd be inclined to agree there. Now, this is a very polarising character as well at the minute, I think. Saeed Benrahma. I know which side of the fence you sit, James, but I know he can be quite polarising for a lot of the fans at large.
I like Benrahma. I really do like Benrahma, and I will stand. I just don't think he's had enough game time, Rob. If you want me to be honest here, like when a man is coming on for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you know what I mean? Fair enough, he has had a few games, but I'll tell you the game where I knew that man was class was at Palace away. If Mikel Antonio had his scoring boots on, he would have had 4 assists that night. So we've got a player there, but is he a squad player? Well, to me, he goes in the team. Right? There's a player in the team who everyone raves about, but I just don't see it myself. But we'll get onto him a bit later. But this is an hard one for me, Benrahma. So I'm going to say, I'm going to put him at the top, like a long-term future for me. I think he's got the potential. On the ball, he's a good player. He needs a goal. Once he gets the goal, you might see a player coming out of there, but he needs to get on the pitch first. And I'd put him there 100%.
Here's a question. Do you think that he was actually a David Moyes signing? Because I've got to be honest, I don't.
Probably not. Nothing would surprise me. But you can't fault his his ability on the football. Do you know what I mean? And
No.
when you look at him and then you look at Jared Bowen, if someone can tell me that Jared Bowen is better than Ben Rama recently, then I'd happily have a debate with him because, like, I like Bowen, but Ben Rama brings more to me. He's got an eye for a pass, and what I like about Ben Rama is he looks up. But I like Ben Rama myself, so I'm going to say that. But yeah,
I'm going to give a shout out to my younger brother, because my younger brother Ben was on about Ben Rama for probably a good 18 months, 2 years before West Ham actually signed him. He said ages ago, he said, Rob, honestly, this player is different gravy. He's too good for the Championship. This is exactly the sort of player we should be buying. And of course, when we bought him, my brother was like absolutely cock-a-hoop. So, and I mean, I think that it's sometimes difficult for a player that comes from the Championship. You know, we've paid a lot of money for him, 25 million. So you're probably expecting him to hit the ground running. But in fairness to him, he's never played at this level before. And it is a big jump from, despite the fact he's come from a good Championship team, when you jump into the Premier League, it is just such a chasm. And, you know, I think when you're spending 25 million, you can't just be sort of giving him 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, miss a game here, play a game there. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You have to give him a run, and a proper run, and say to him, you are part of my plan going forward. Go out there and show the world what you're all about. Give the guy a little bit of confidence, because all the time you're chopping and changing and you're dropping him and this, that, and the other. I do wonder what that does to his confidence.
I just think he needs to play, Rob. You can't have no one can judge a player when he's sitting on the bench. And when you're giving him 5 or 10 minutes, and you're trying to judge a player to say, come on and change the game for us, because I don't fancy you for 90 minutes, but I fancy you for the last 10. Now, to me, that's like, he needs time. He's come into a new league. Obviously, the Championship to the Premier League is a completely different scenario. But is there a player in there? Absolutely. And if someone said to me right now, you had a choice between Ben Rama or Bowen, and I do like the pair of them, I'd keep Ben Rama, because I think Ben Rama brings more, on the ground, and the way he glides past people. So yeah, that's for me, really.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Jared Bowen, because look who's next.
Oh, Mr. Bowen. I rate him, Rob. I really do. I do rate the lad, but it's just this season I was expecting so much more from him. As a player, at Hull, he was a very, very good player. This one's an hard one with me. The only reason why I'm going to put him in the top tier is because he's got time on his side and he's only young. But he's a good player. And I do rate this kid, but this season, especially over the last, say, 12 games, at the start of the season he was all right, cup games he was all right, but say over the last 10 games he's been hit and miss, up and down. There's times where he's been in positions where he could score, and he decides to pass. There's times where he needs to pass the ball basically for teammate, and he's let it go. So yeah, I'm going to put him in there because age is on his side. I do like him. He does work hard. But if we're sitting here in 12 months' time and he's at the club, my opinion might change, because this season he's been a bit hit and miss. But I'm only putting him in the top tier because I think there's a player there, 100%.
Okay, so he goes in the long-term future. Playing devil's advocate a little bit, because it came out recently, did it not, that Bowen has been dealing with some underlying health medical issue, and there's been no more said about it than that. Playing devil's advocate a little bit, is that perhaps the reason behind maybe a few of his subpar performances? Maybe, but I'm probably in the same as you, in that sort of okay, that may be a mitigating factor. However, a medical or whatever it is issue doesn't affect you getting your head up. And that's the thing that I do think that he doesn't do often enough. He's not aware a lot of the time, as much as I believe he should be, as much as I think a Premier League player needs to be successful, of what's going on around them, because the picture's always changing, you know, sort of like where everybody stood from 1 second to the next. It's a constantly evolving picture. And I do think there are sometimes he needs to get his head up, and just sort of like, sometimes he shoots when he should pass, and he passes when he should shoot. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think he's a player.
He's a good player, but he needs to open his eyes a bit more. Like look up and see what's around him. If he can start doing that and bringing that to his game, we've got a good quality player on our hands. But the only problem with it is he runs with his head down, and it is very frustrating because he's got the pace, he's got the awareness, he's got the end product, but he just needs to open his eyes a little bit and don't be so greedy. When he comes inside, he always wants to have a shot. Like sometimes to come inside, feed someone else, but hopefully he's learning that.
Yeah. Okay, so we move on from Jared Bowen. Gonzalo Cardoso.
Time to go, mate. If I'm honest, it's time to be sold. All the hype over this young lad, and I spoke on a different platform yesterday, I think it was, and they mentioned him. And West Ham unofficial show.
Yep. Oh, Jakey.
Basically, his name come up, and I said some people can hack the league, some people can't, and basically that's what it is really. Some people can hack it and enjoy it and want to be in it, and some people are like, you know what, this is not much for me. I used to watch a few of his games over at Dagenham Redbridge. And because I used to have like the under 23s over there, and I used to go over there, being I'm only like 5 minutes away from there. And basically, if we can get a small fee for him, it's time to say goodbye. Basically, he was hyped up a bit much, and he come here, and it's sort of come back down to earth. And the difference between Alves and him is, I think Alves is more suited to the league, like more built and more like solid, basically. Whereas him, he's very sort of skinny, and I think somewhere maybe out in like Germany or something would suit him down to the ground. So
or Italy maybe, who knows? But okay, so now this is a good one. Vladimir Coufal.
Love him. Love the man. Love the man to death, mate. I think he's one of the best signings I've seen at West Ham for a hell of a long time. Long-term future. I think he might even be here till he retires, I think. I think the passion that man shows. I knew it when he turned up. I said, people saying, "Who's this geezer?" And I watched the first game against Leicester, and I went, "This man is class." I went, the way he sort of he defends like Thomas Repka, but he's like, as I've said it before, he's like Thomas Repka with a brain. And he knows what he's doing. And I like that. He's got a bit of skull thuggery about him, as I said before. He likes to get stuck in. He will take a booking. When he plays, he leaves it all on the line. And as West Ham fans, that's what we love. We love players who give it their all, passion for the shirt. Love him. Can't say any more about the man. I think he's for 5.4 million. He's one of the best signings I've seen at West Ham. And people have said to me before about right back position. Well, Glenn Johnson was a good right back. Yeah, but Glenn Johnson was here for 6 months, and then we sold him to Chelsea. So you can't judge him. Sebastian Schemmel was a good right back in the early 2001 season. Very, very good player. But as I see this geezer now who's come in, and don't forget, the Premier League's evolved since 20 years ago. He's like, this is a completely different league now to how it was 20 years ago. Harry's come in and hit the ground running, first class.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think he's been absolutely magnificent for 5.4 million. I mean, the value that he brings to the team is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and I think he can, and I think he will get better. I really do.
So I actually think he's in his prime. I think we've got the man in his prime. 28 years of age.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, Robbie, he can go on for another 5-6 years, like 33,
Well,
34.
yeah,
He might not
easy.
be fast. What people say to me, yeah, but he seems to run out of steam, right? He might not be fast, but he can defend, and he can defend well. Like
There are people that have seriously said that to you, that he can run out of steam.
He seems to.
Wow.
What it is in the second half, of games, he seems to sort of like he don't lack any sort of pace. But I've said to these people before, and I've sort of had debates with these people. I said, but he can defend. I said, don't have to, like Trent Alexander-Arnold, right, is one of the best right backs in the country, if not in the world. But that boy can't defend.
No.
Like if people say to me he's a good defender, I'm sorry, but Robinson's a better defender than him. So, but he can cross a ball, he can do everything with a ball, and like he's good up. He's got energy going up and down. But Kafal, as a reliable player, he will give you minimum 7 out of 10 every game. Like I don't think I've actually seen Kafal play a bad game this season.
No.
But
no.
You know what I mean? So I would say, to me, you can have all the pace in the world. Like I use this as an example. Ryan Fredericks has got all the pace in the world but can't defend.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there you go. You know
it's like you made the comparison earlier with Trent, and I think that you're right. Trent is he's basically a deep lying winger. He's not a fullback. He's a deep lying winger. And I think where Liverpool have been found out this season is that they had built a lot of their success in the last couple of seasons on the fact that they had Virgil van Dijk there, and they had these two very attacking fullbacks that could bomb on and provide the width for Liverpool, because they're sort of wide players from on their front three and not really wide players there, because they're sort of playing on the wrong side, if that makes sense. You've got a right footer on the left and a left footer on the right, so their tendency is always going to be to cut in, so they're not going to offer Liverpool the width. So the width was always coming from the fullbacks bombing on, and they could bomb on basically at will, because they had the best defender in a one-on-one situation in the world in Virgil van Dijk. And then if a forward did manage to get past them, well, then they've got to get past one of the best goalkeepers in the world in Alisson. So good luck with that. But now that they've lost Virgil van Dijk, they're getting found out a little bit. And Trent doesn't look quite the player that he did.
I think what they do is they go on. What it is making them think about defending now. That's the problem. Like when you have to think about defending, your attacking threat goes out the window. So when you're thinking, I've got to defend, when you've got Van Dijk there, for instance, you go, I ain't got to worry about that. I'll just bomb forward because I know I've got them in there, Gomez there, Alisson in behind. That's for the example sort of thing. But going back to Kafal, that's why I like him, because
he's a proper defender, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's a sort of defender. He's a no-nonsense defender that we've needed at the club for a hell of a long time. He will take a booking. For the benefit of the team, and I love that in a player. He's to me. I just think he's class. I just think since he's come in,
and he brings a winning mentality, doesn't he? He brings a winning, because we spoke about it after the Man City game where the final whistle went, and he's down in his haunches, absolutely just distraught that the team haven't got a point or three. He's there. He's sort of like he's inconsolable. And I love that. You know, I hate seeing players coming off the pitch after a defeat and they're shaking hands with the opposition. How you doing, mate? How are you? Going anywhere nice for your holidays? No. That's not what I want to see. Not what I want to see at all. And so Vladimir Soufal, for me, absolute legend already. So now, next player, Connor Coventry.
Unsure on this lad. Again, he's another one. Sits in the under-23s. Like, you don't see him go out on loan, or when he does go out on loan, there's no big report coming back saying that, you know what, he's performing. There's a player there from what we've heard. But to me, you need to go into different leagues and smash it up in them leagues and go, and then start getting a name about yourself. Do you know what I mean? And the prime example is Josh Cullen. Josh Cullen's gone to Belgium for Anderlecht, and he's tearing it up over there. Like the Anderlecht on Twitter and all that are saying, "I thank you for giving them us Josh for 500k."
I know.
Now,
Crazy.
there's an issue there. Like, these players seem to be sitting in the under 23s and not want to go out on loan. Now, something's got to give there. Like, I'll just quickly say this though, but Chelsea chuck all their players out on loan. Like,
Yes,
they've got players
Vitesse
everywhere
Arnhem.
on loan.
Yeah,
Vitesse Arnhem, Doncaster, Fulham, like anywhere and everywhere. Basically, they go just to get them out of the club. And basically, it just seems like we've got an under 23 team with players who've just got no ambition of going and wanting to play. Really, do you know what I mean? That I think they think because they're in the under 23s, they've made it at West Ham, and I'm sorry, but you haven't yet. Do you know what I mean?
How much of it do you think is the player, and how much of it do you think is the club not being proactive?
Bit of both, mate, because there's too many players sitting in the under 23s. Like, to name a few, like the young lad who scored, who we said at the start, who scored against Doncaster, I've never heard of him. Never heard of him. Like, and he was like, he scored against Doncaster. And I'm like, well, where's this bloke been? Like, under 23, and he's 23 years of age.
Yeah,
like,
he's been with us for what, 2 years? I think he was he not signed? Was he signed by Moyes or was he signed by Pellegrini? Was he in Moyes' first stint? I can't remember, but I remember we signed him from Solihull Moors, didn't we? In the conference, I believe they were at the time.
Yeah, and it just makes no sense. Like, if these players are not playing in the first team, then they should be out on loan. And Connor Coventry, like, go and stick him in, like Josh Cullen, for instance. He went to Charlton, right, and then he went. You know what? A lot of people who I know are Charlton fans turned around and said, you know what, he was a good player and we want him back there. And then obviously Anderlecht called in. He's seen an opportunity to go abroad. He's grasped it. With Connor Coventry, I've seen him over Dagenham yet again. I'll say this again. Good player, but doesn't tear down any trees with me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't go, you know what, the wow factor. So
you don't look at him and think you're seeing the next Joe Cole.
Not really, mate. Nah. Like, I just don't see it. Do you know what I mean? So it's he needs to go out, play regularly in a team, and basically build your reputation up. And to me, when you're sitting in the under 23s, and you're getting a couple of you're getting on the bench for West Ham, but you're not doing nothing to sort of grasp being there. If that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So I'm unsure on him, mate.
I think that I agree with you. I think that these players that are in the under 23s, I think they would learn so much more if they went to, say, a club in League One like Charlton Athletic and played, say, 20 League One games plus whatever, Football League trophy games, League Cup, FA Cup games that come their way, than they would playing 100 games in the under 23s. I really do. I think they'd learn so much more.
Yeah.
So, and we would learn so much more as a club, whether they are cut out for the Premier League or whether actually they just need to be sort of moved on and we get new blood in. So, I'm 100% with you there, mate. No problem at all. Right, next one, Aaron Cresswell.
Hit and miss with old Cresswell. Turned up with us, phenomenal. Got his injury, then he went down the pan a bit. Then recently, over the last 18 months, he's turned back into the player that we signed from Ipswich. Like, I think he will see his career out at West Ham. I don't think he will be going anywhere else. So I'm going to say 1 or 2 seasons. Just for the fact he's yet again, you've got a player there who's experienced. And yet again, I'd like to see West Ham bring in another left back, younger, or if someone is in the under 23s, and learn from Cresswell. But Cresswell's been good. Like, people keep knocking him on a few things about certain things, but look how many assists he's got this year from being a left back. Like, I'm sorry, but
I think he's the top assisters for a fullback, isn't he? I think in the Premier League this season.
And what he's done this season, he's played as a three-man defence, and he's also been a left back. He's not a left wing back. He hasn't got the pace. So,
no.
To me, he's done well. obviously there was times where people were saying get him out. I was one of them. I said he just ain't good enough now. I think he's just lost his way. But since Moyes has come in, rebuilt him, and basically, I'll say 1 or 2 seasons. I won't say long-term future, because long-term future could be like 5 years, and I think in 5 years he might be done. But 1 or 2 seasons for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Me personally, I'm of the opinion. I mean, I'm going to do this at some point. We're going to do a role reversal. Duke's going to be the interviewer, and I'm going to be in the hot seat. And I will tell you straight, any player that's 30 or above is never going in the long-term future category, and I don't care who they are. Because, as I said earlier, you know, some players hit 30, and you might only get another 2 seasons out of them in the top flight, you know, playing at a decent level. Some players might go on for another 5, and it just depends. But I remember Arsene Wenger, when he was at Arsenal, he never gave anything more than a 1-year contract to any player that was over the age of 30. And I think he was right. I don't think you can ever look at a player and know whether you're going to get, like I say, another 2 years, another 5 years, 6 years. Maybe the exception to that is a goalkeeper, because they're not running around like an outfielder, and they're not going to suffer with sort of hamstring tears and the various other injuries that could happen. But yeah, outfielders, it's a bit more tricky. But now we come on to one of the players that's not actually one of ours. So Craig Dawson.
He's been phenomenal this year. He's done really well. I was one of the players and persons who said, like, why is he here? It's a cheap signing. You're going for James Tarkowski at 35 million. You end up getting Craig Dawson. But do you know what? I think it's the best signing that we've signed with Kufal. And when you weigh it up, if we sign him for 3 million, we've got a centre half and a right back for 8.4 million in the Premier League in 2021.
Mad, isn't it?
It is. So it's a good. I'm going to say 1 or 2 seasons again. Yeah. I think he's been very good. He's only 30. I think he's got another 3 years in him. Am I going to say to you now that he's going to be the long-term solution? Possibly as a coach, but not as a player. I think like we need to look younger. That's why I'm hoping Alves comes good. And yeah, I'd say that 1 or 2 year, 1 or 2 seasons, basically. Been a great player for us. Can't fault him.
No, I agree. And I agree, sort of like my brother and I, we were sort of looking and thinking, hang on, we got to sort of New Year and we brought this player in and he hasn't played a single minute, you know, be it in League Cup or Premier League. What's going on? And it just seemed to be a complete waste of a signing. And then he got his opportunity. And then you realised, actually, this guy actually can fulfil a role. And he's done so absolutely, you know, with great credit to himself. So, you know, I think if we can get that deal done, and I'm very optimistic that we can. I agree with you. I think we've got a player there for a minimum of the next 2 seasons, you know, barring unforeseen circumstances. So next player, totally another polarizing character I tend to find amongst West Ham fans. I think he's a bit of a Marmite character, if I might use that phrase. You either love him or you hate him. There's no in between, I don't think. Issa Diop.
There's no for me, long-term future, mate. Long-term future. You got a young lad who can possibly be a top-drawn defender, but West Ham fans are so impatient. It's unbelievable. Now, people can say, well, Craig Dawson's come in and look how well he's done. The lad's only 23 years of age, I think he is, or 24 years of age. Like, you've got to give him, you got to give him like a chance. I know he's been with us 3 years, but you can't keep chucking people under the bus all the time, saying, you know what, he ain't good enough. Like, we've got a young player there. Let's work on him and make him a better player. Do you know what I mean? So to me, long-term future all day long. People criticised him against Sheffield United, saying he's out of position a couple of weeks ago when we won 3-0. Now,
really? I thought he was one of our better players there.
Yeah, and I turned around. What it is, as you just said though, some people love him, some people hate him. If he does a bad pass or he's out of position, they're going to be onto him straight away.
Yeah.
Now, to me, I look at it like this: he has turned up here. He's been with us 3 years, right? He's only young. At the end of the day, that was his first game since December, the middle of December. I think it was December the 12th or 14th or something. And yeah, I just think he's a good player. I think he just needs a bit of time. He needs to be with defenders who know how to defend properly. I think when he was with Balbuena, I think communication was a problem. And I am very strong on that. I think with Dawson and Bonner, they will get into him and they'll say to him, this is how you do it. And I think basically that really, I think he's been top. Like he can be top draw, but he just needs time. So yeah.
I think of the central defenders that we've got, he's the best technically. He might not be the best defender, but I think he's the best technical footballer of the centre halves that we've got presently. I can't really comment on Alves. I'll exclude him. But if we say Dawson, Diop, Ogbonna, Balbuena as the current first choice fullbacks, he's the best technical footballer out of the four of them. There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying he's not the best defender, but I think if you put him alongside a better defender like an Ogbonna, like a Dawson, or both of them, as you say, depending if we go 3 or 5 at the back, whatever, I think that he could be very, very useful. Very useful indeed. And as you say, he's 23, 24. He's still got to hit his prime years. I think he's one of those. I mean, I can make a case for him one way or the other. But I take your point on board entirely, James. So next player, Lucas Fabianski.
This is a tricky one. Been a good player for us. Been a good servant to the club. Right. If he wasn't getting injured so often, keep him 1 or 2 seasons, job done.
Yeah,
easily. But he does get injured, and he's getting to a stage now where we do need a replacement goalkeeper because we can't be relying on a 38-year-old goalkeeper. Like,
well, his contract's up, isn't it? As I understand it, the club have an option to extend it for, I believe, at least an extra season. I've heard whispers about an extra 2. But as things stand at the minute, if nothing's agreed, he's off on a free.
And I would keep him for a season. I'm going to put him in the a season or 2, right? But I think it will be a season. But
no, that's fair.
The injuries concern me with him because if you look at it last year, we was doing really well when he was in goal. As soon as he gets injured and we had Roberto in goal, I know how bad Roberto was, right? But the problem is if he gets injured again, then we've got Randolph in goal or David Martin. It's the same scenario again. And I've never known West Ham to be so unlucky when it comes to goalkeepers getting injured. Like I've seen other clubs and they seem to have their goalkeepers fit all season round near enough. But us, we seem to lose a goalkeeper from time to time, which is mad, really. But a season or 2.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we probably need to activate that clause to get him signed up for next year. But I think we probably need to bring in another young goalkeeper, and the sort of like the plan being to gradually phase Fabianski out, to gradually phase the new guy in, to a sort of like acclimatise him, assimilate him into the group. And then at the end of the season, hopefully, all things being well, we can say to Fab, thanks for your time and see you later. So
yeah, totally agree.
So next one on the list, Pablo Fornals.
Marmite, mate. Marmite.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but this geezer is 1 minute he's good, 1 minute he's not. Right. Do I like Pablo Fornals? I'm going to say yes. I like his work rate. I like what he does.
Yeah.
When they keep banging on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, it just doesn't work because he's got no pace. He's got no pace to beat a man. I think number 10 is his position.
I agree.
it's an hard one with me with him because, like, when I look at him and when I look at he's in the team and Ben Rama sitting on the bench, but I know Ben Rama can make more than what Pablo Fornells can.
Yeah.
Then it makes you wonder, doesn't it? I am going to put him in the long-term future because I think he's yet again his age is on his side, so I will put him in that. So yeah, I've put him there, but he's very hit and miss with me with Fornells. Like, I like him, but he needs to score some goals. Like, he needs to score some more goals. When you're playing as a number 10, like, I don't know how many goals he scored this season, like, but you need to be scoring X amount of goals. So yeah.
No, I think you might have 2 or 3, maybe. I'm not sure
not good
off the
enough
top of my head. It's
but I think not good enough if you're playing as number 10.
Yeah, I mean, but then I think you hit the nail on the head. He hasn't been playing as a number 10 for most of the season. I think he's been shunted into a position that's not his. And to be fair to him, he's never moaned about it. To the best of my knowledge, he's always gone, okay, fine, you want me to play there, I'll do it to the best of my ability. And fair play to him, hats off. But I agree with you. He's a number 10 all day long and twice on a Sunday. So
yeah,
there you go.
1,000%, mate.
Not you or I that's picking the team. So there you go. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Next one, again, another polarizing character, Ryan Fredericks.
Sell him, mate. Sell him. Have him gone. Do not rate this kid whatsoever. I'm afraid people keep raving and saying that he's this, he's that. He's been with us 3 years. It'll be 4 years at the end of the season. He turned up in 2018 as a free from Fulham. And I'm sorry, but we brought Vladimir Kufal in as basically a right back, and it just shows you the difference in class. I'm afraid. Like, I just don't rate Fredericks, and I'm prepared to have a debate with anyone about it. Like, people saying, "Oh yeah, but he can be a right winger." Well, I'm sorry, but if we want a right winger, go and buy a right winger. Don't keep turning players from right back into right wingers because it just don't work. You might get away with it once, right, maybe twice, but you keep doing that, eventually you're going to come unstuck. I'm just not a fan of his at the end of the day. All he's got, Rob, is pace. He can't defend. He can't cross a ball. His decision making is terrible. His tackling is terrible. Personally, I don't even think he's a Premier League player myself. I think he's a Championship player at best, and that's me being brutally honest here. And to me, I'm sorry, but I'd rather get him gone and get someone else in, or even give it to the next person, Ben Johnson. Like, I think he could do that position like as a right back or right wing back with a right foot, basically. So I'm sorry, but he has to go for me.
Yeah. Next one on the hit list, Nathan Holland. I think this kid's been so unlucky, but he's 22 years of age now, and well, over to you, my friend.
Went to Oxford last year, scored a wonder goal in the FA Cup against Everton, and that was it. Does nothing. Like, if he would have been breaking into the team, he would have done it by now with Holland.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's one of them ones. Like, he's been with us long enough now. I've seen him firsthand over the under-23s, watching them play. For me, I just don't think he's going to make it, mate, with us. If I'm honest, like, I just don't see it. Like, do you know what I mean? I think we want him to make it, but you can want someone to make it, but sometimes you've got to look in the black and white of it and go, you know what? Nah. Like, he goes to Oxford, he performs at Oxford, okay, but then it's just nothing after that. Like, I don't see any Championship teams wanting to loan him or anything like that. So to me, I'm going to say, see ya. It's time to let him move on and maybe fresh start somewhere else where he might play more regularly in a team, and then maybe he might be a late bloomer. But I just think, that's what I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's been dead unlucky with injuries at the wrong time, sort of thing. And but he's 22 years of age, and I just think if you haven't made a breakthrough for whatever reason by the time you're 22 years of age, then it's probably not going to happen. And it might not be your fault. And Josh Cullen is a case in point. He was 24 when he was let go. And you can argue about the right and wrongs of it. But the fact was he never established himself in the first team by the age of 24. And to be fair to him, he's gone to Anderlecht, and look at his, he's been handed the captaincy by none other than Vincent Kompany.
Says that old, doesn't it?
It does, 100% completely.
Damn right.
So, yeah. Right. So, next one on the hit list, we've got Ben Johnson.
I'm going to say long term. I think he's got the goods, but he's got to start playing in the right position. Long term future for me. I think it proved it against Man City. When you keep playing left-sided, when you're playing a right-sided footballer on the left-hand side, it don't work, and eventually they get found out. And against the top teams, they will work on that and go, right, let's just get him on his left-hand side because he's one-footed, basically. He can play left-footed, but he's not naturally a left footer. He's a right footer.
Yeah.
So as a right back, possibly a right wing back, maybe cover for Vladimir Kufal. But long term for me, all day long.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I'd be inclined to agree with that. So next on the list, Manuel Lanzini.
Sadly, for me, it's time to say goodbye. He's been with us 6 years now, is it? Since 2015, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's done well. We will remember some of the goals he scored, especially the Spurs one in the 94th minute that we all loved. But I think we need to sell him to generate funds for a younger player to come in there. He's lost his way a little bit with us recently, and he ain't the same player as he once was.
No.
But I'm sorry, but he's got to go, I'm afraid. And that's hard to say. It is hard to say with him because he's been loyal to us. He's been great, but sometimes things run their course, basically, and I think this one's definitely run its course. Do you know what I mean?
Everything has its time, doesn't it? And I think for me, Manuel Lanzini, a prime Manuel Lanzini pre-injury, was an absolute asset to the team. And if he hadn't got that injury, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'm fairly confident, but he did. We are where we are, where we want to be. And for me, Manuel Lanzini, take away that goal against Spurs, what has he done this season? Not a lot.
Not a lot.
And Moyes has not got him in the team as a regular starter for a reason. And the reason is because he's not as good as the players around him that are comparable. So, for me, I've probably seen it same as you've seen it. He just seems to be half a second behind where he used to be, where he needs to be. He's half a yard behind where he used to be, where he needs to be. And in the Premier League, that is the difference between success and failure.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
There you go. But moving swiftly along, the next one on the hit list is Alfie Lewis.
Yeah, again, mate, I'm going to leave this pretty short and sweet. Unsure. I've just, you don't see anything about him going out on loan, any reports or anything. So for me, that's a pretty quick one. That is unsure
short
for
and
me.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm the same as you, mate. I can't turn around at you and say I know too much about this kid other than what I've heard. Again, I would be much more content with to see the guy going out on loan to Wimbledon, Charlton, any team sort of like where he's going to really be able to cut his teeth, and it just hasn't happened for whatever reason. So I can't really sort of make too much of an argument for him to be anywhere other than where you've put him, to be fair. So I got a funny thing. I know where this guy's going to go now. This is the other player that doesn't actually belong to us, but he's in the squad at the minute. Jesse Lingard.
Sign him up long term. I was one of his critics when he first arrived. I thought he was going to be just here as a bystander. Basically, just come in here just to like get his face about, get a couple of games, but he's embraced the club. He's embraced what it's all about. You see him on social media. He looks like he's loving it at the club. It's given him a new breath of fresh air. And I think the board have to sign this man. And if they don't sign him up, or they don't pay the money that Manchester United want, then there should be an outcry, and literally it should be basically like a riot because he brings a lot to the club. He's only young. He's 28 years of age. Perfect age yet again, in his prime. Sign him up.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I'm gonna mix things up a little bit. I'm gonna go. We've done it alphabetically so far, James. So I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go for this one here. That's a Mr. Angelo Ogbonna. Tell me your thoughts.
He's been great. He's been a top class defender. He's basically performed how he should perform. Many years ago, a lot of people basically wanted him out the door and turned around and said basically he weren't good enough. He's come back. Since Moyes has come in, he's sort of been arguably like right up there as one of our top defenders, if not our top defender. And I do think he's been top class. I think he's making the team better. He's making everyone feel better. He's making Issa Diop learn. Him and Dawson as a partnership has been top draw. Shame about his injury, because I think with him in the team, we look like we look more solid, more comfortable and solid. And basically, I just think he's been top draw this season. And for me, I'm going to put him in the tier 2. I'm going to say 1 or 2 seasons. I'd like to see him at the club until he retires. But I think he's been top class.
Yeah, no, I'd be inclined to agree with you. That again, I think that's entirely fair. I think when you're 32 years of age, it's kind of difficult to really see more than a season or 2 beyond, in fairness. So completely with you on that one, mate. No doubt about it. I'll tell you what, we'll go with this fella here, Winston Reid. I've got a funny feeling I know where he's going, with the greatest of respect to him.
Yeah, been a good player for us. Been with us for a hell of a long time. I think he's been with us since 2010, I think. 2011, 2010, something like that. So it's probably 10 years.
Wasn't he an Everham Grant signing? I think he was, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah. He come from Danish team.
Michelin.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I'll say this, he needs to go now. He's been with us. I think the time has come. He obviously went out on loan last year to the MLS.
Yes.
And basically, I think what I can see happening with this is I can see him going to Brentford and West Ham trying to do a swap deal with Tony Winston with a bit of cash for Tony. And I can see that coming. I think that one's being lined up for the summer. But he's been a good servant to us. He scored the last goal at Upton Park, the header against Manchester United. So he's forever going to have that. He was with us in the Championship. Yeah, he's been a top. I can't praise the man enough, but all good things come to an end, I'm afraid, and I think this is the end for him. So it'd be sad to see him go, but he's been top draw.
I got a lot of respect and time for Winston Reid. He's not only the last goal at Upton Park, he got a goal against Millwall, which always goes down well. Got a goal against Tottenham, which always goes down well. He could have gone to any number of bigger clubs, like Manchester United were in for him, I believe. I think Arsenal was sniffing around at one point. you know,
Yeah.
and you know, loyalty is a two-way thing. You know, he was loyal to us and we were loyal to him by giving him the 6-year contract. You know, but it's just come to a point now where I don't think his body's up to the rigors of regular Premier League football. He's gone into the Championship and he looks like he's doing really well, and I wish him all the very best. But I'm the same as you. I think he's been a magnificent servant for West Ham United, but I just think it's run its course, and it's time to wish the guy all the very best. Make whatever deal you've got to make with him on his contract and let the guy play football wherever he wants to play. Simple as that.
Totally agree. Yeah.
So, next player on the hit list, I'll tell you what, we'll go this fella here, Mipo Odebeko.
He's one for the future. That's the way I look at it. He needs to go out on loan. I said this after the Manchester United game. People was like shooting me down, saying, "Oh, you're how can you criticise him? He only played 60. He played 60 minutes against Man United. He's playing against top quality defenders." Well, he needs to go out on loan, mate. Like, he needs to go and play, and he needs to go in League One, score X amount of goals, then go in the Championship and do it at a higher up level, and then he'll be ready for us. Like, you can't keep thinking that you're going to chuck in a youngster who's 18, I believe, and expect him to come in and be like Marcus Rashford. Like, it just doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean? And when it does, it's very rare. So, he's one for the future for me.
Yeah, no, I'd be inclined to agree. Again, I agree with you. I mean, you know, what if they've got any sort of promise, any sort of ambition of regular first team football in Premier League for a Premier League team? You're right. They need to go out and they need to be tested at league, whether it's League 2, League 1, Championship. Put them in a team, get them playing against men, seasoned professionals, where they're going to learn so much more in, like I say, 20 games, whatever it is, playing at League 2, League 1, Championship level. So much more than they would playing 100 under 23 games. They really will. And I don't get why we're not doing it more. As I say, whether it's, you know, in some situations it might be the player, in some situations it might be the club. 6 of one, half dozen of the other for me. But you know, like you cited the example of Chelsea earlier. They're farming kids left, right, and centre to this club, that club, the other club, and they'll keep doing it until they make a decision. Yes, they're good enough. We'll put a Chelsea shirt on them, or actually, no, they're not. We'll get a few quid for them. We'll shunt them off to wherever, and that's how they do business. And it seems to work for them, you know. So I just think, you know, if you want to try and succeed, you know, it's the old thing, isn't it? You know, you find someone that does something well, and you want to sort of like achieve it. Well, then you just basically copy what they're doing. You know, put your own slant on it by all means. But
basically, what it is, if you've got 50 players, 50 senior youngsters, you might only find one or two. But with West Ham, it seems like they have like a group of about 25, and they're expecting 10 of them to become like first teamers, and it just doesn't work. Do you know what I mean? No. So it's just
they're diamonds in the rough, aren't they? You know, it's very, very rare that you find a Declan Rice. So,
yeah, I totally agree.
And speaking of which, I'm gonna go for him next. Declan Rice. Is he on the way out? Do you reckon, James?
Hell no. Long-term future, mate. Captain, absolutely. Leader.
Definitely.
I think Mark Noble's been great. I think giving the captaincy to him this year has proved why we're doing so well. I believe that he brings a different mentality to the club, different vibe to the club. He's a winner. He wants to win games. I'm not saying that Mark didn't want to win games, but with Declan, he hates losing. And he was. I actually think this could be the making of West Ham having him as captain, because when we do sign players, you've got a man like Declan Rice who's going to be your captain. Now, I'm not slating Mark Noble, because Mark Noble's a legend at West Ham in my eyes because of what he's had to go through. Like, not as a player, but as a man. He's been through hell with West Ham, administrations and relegations, and he's always stood by us. But I don't think Mark could ever attract top class players. But I think Declan can, and
Yeah,
I
I'd
do
agree with
believe that 100%. And I just think, I think the only way he goes out the club is if a big club comes in with a silly amount of money. When I say silly amount, I mean 100 million plus. But then, even then, like, because no man is ever bigger than West Ham United, but you've also got to look at it. 100 million could basically reform us and make us into a top 16, so to speak. So yeah, long-term future all day for me.
The only thing that I worry about, and I remember when Rio was sold, he was our most saleable asset, our best player, young, aspiring England international with the world at his feet. We sold him for 18 million quid, which at the time was good business. But the problem is that it was good business from what we got for him in a monetary sense, but then what we went on to do with that money, well, that was a different thing. We didn't get in the quality or the just didn't get the quality. We didn't get value for money. We built a stand out of it, the Rio stand. Yeah, fair enough. But as far as the players that we brought in, they were absolutely well, other than Rigger, but Song, I'm struggling to remember anyone else that we bought with that money. You know, because they were probably in for 5 minutes. I mean, did we get TT Kamara with that money as well? I mean, yeah, probably. And he was absolutely, I don't think he'll go down in the annals of West Ham history. That's for damn sure. So, you know, and what, you know, that's what worries me. Sort of like a couple of years after Rio went, we were relegated. So I know what you're saying. If we got 100 million quid, we could do a lot of business with it. But the thing is, if it's bad business, then quite frankly, I'd rather keep Declan Rice.
That's right. I would rather build around him. I'd rather say, you know what, keep him here, but we need to change our mentality as a club from going from let's just settle for top 10, right? Because let's be honest, we can break into the top 7, but we need investment. And I think Declan Rice is a world-class box-to-box defensive midfield player, and there's not many of them about. He reminds me of Makaleli, but he reminds me of Makaleli in a way that he can go forward and all. Like, he drives the team forward, whereas Makaleli used to sit and defend, and that was his job. Like, he was like the anchor for all the top clubs he played for.
Win the ball and give it to the players that were ahead of him that were a bit more skillful. I think the only thing that and this isn't, I don't mean this as a criticism, and if it comes across that way, it's meant constructively. The only thing that I think I think he is world class, but I think he's at the minute, what would make him world class with a capital W in underlined is goals. That's the only thing that's missing at the minute. I think he's capable of scoring more goals than he is at the minute. And I know he's a defensive mid, but I think that when he gets forward, I do think that there's a bit more to come in the goal scoring stakes, and it will come, I'm sure.
I think it's an hard one though, Rob, because when you're a defensive midfielder, there's not many defensive midfielders who's going to go and bang in 10 goals a season, 10, 15 goals a season. You see what I'm saying? So
the guy
to
next to him is.
Yeah, but then that's why it works in the system. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, when one goes, one sits, and then the other one goes, the other one sits. I agree, he does need to score a few goals, but to me, what Declan does, he drives the team, and he's tackling is like first class. Like, he very rarely, So to me, I like a player who does what he says he's going to do. Basically, if you got like a defensive midfielder, and he's like, I wouldn't want my defensive midfielder like streaming forward and then leaving big gaps behind. So I do think he's got time on his side to get again though, and that's the big
22.
That's the thing. So he's easy. 100%.
I got a funny thing. I know where this fella's going to go. I'm going to go straight to the back of the queue. Andrei Yarmolenko.
Sell him. Goodbye. Thank you for coming.
not much more to be said, really, is there?
Do you know what? I used to like Yarmolenko, but I think again he's done his time. Scored a great goal last year against Chelsea, cut inside the bottom left-hand corner, I think it was. to win 3-2 against Chelsea. But I just think he's too lightweight. I've had this argument with him as another player. Like, you can go and score goals for Ukraine, but can you do it in the Premier League? Yeah, he might score 1 or 2 goals, but he's supposed to be a striker. And like, at the end of the day, I just don't think he's. I think like he needs to move on. He's another player that needs to go, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, isn't he the most highest paid player at the club as well? I think he's on 100K a week. I mean,
I think
that's
he
a
was
lot
one
of
of
money to be
Pellegrini.
paying someone.
He was one of Pellegrini's first signings, wasn't it? It come from Borussia Dortmund, 18 million, I think it was.
Yeah.
But it's an R one with me with him. He's like, really, what's done it for me? I just don't think he's cut for it anymore.
No.
Like, he was all right when he
Possibly
came in,
the
but I think
injuries hasn't helped.
Yeah, I just think it's just time to say goodbye, really.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say on him.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Xande Silva.
He's out on loan. He's out in Greece, I believe, or Cyprus, I think it is. It's one of them two.
He is out at Aris Thessaloniki.
Yeah, I think it's out in that Greece, Cyprus way.
Greece, yeah.
Yeah, he needs to come back. He needs to go out on loan in, say, like Championship or something, and then we would know more. So I'm going to say unsure on him at the minute. At least he's done one good thing. He's gone out on loan. That's a good start.
Yeah.
Like, he's getting game time. I think the next step is to get him back here, give him a season in the Championship, go from there. And so I'm going to say unsure on him, Rob.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely fair, James. Absolutely fair.
Mm.
David Martin.
I think it's time for him, like, to just give him a coaching role now. Yeah, I mean, he's been good. We will all remember that the scenes at Stamford Bridge last season, crying on the pitch, like, and the whole of the fan base behind him, like, singing to him to get him through that game, and for him to come through and perform. And yeah, he's been great. He's West Ham fan. His dad was a legend of the club, Alvin Martin. So yeah, I think he needs to sort of go, basically.
Yeah. No, I'm the same as you. I thought it was a great moment at Stamford Bridge after the final whistle went. He went to his knees. He was in tears. The players have all come round him. And then after that, he goes up the stairs to be greeted by his old man, a West Ham legend in Alvin Martin, where they embraced. I mean, it was fairy tale stuff. But the brass tacks of it are that David Martin, he's not even our number 2 goalkeeper, and there's a question mark whether he's even our number 3 goalkeeper. So, yeah, I mean, if we've got a role for him as a goalkeeping coach somewhere at the club, I would be absolutely in favour of that. Either that, or if he wants to sort of like carry on playing at maybe a little bit lower down the pecking order for another year or two, then I wish him all the very best. But yeah, it is what it is. So, and I say Nathan Trott, I'll come to him next. So Nathan Trott.
He's been out on loan. He's not really pulled up any trees, so to speak. I'm just going to say unsure on him, Rob. I think he needs to go out again. He needs to sort of get game time. And I think basically in the next sort of 18 months, you will know where we are with Nathan Trott. I think there's a player there, but like every time I've seen him, like from the loan reports and all that, it hasn't been like wonderful. He needs to go out into a League 1, League 2 team and get 30 plus games, 35 games in the season, if not more than that, and just to sort of build his confidence up. So yeah, unsure for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's entirely fair. And yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You're looking so far at all the guys that are in the not sure. They're all basically under 23 players. And I'm with you. I think they need to go out. I think they need to be tested. It's as simple as that. They need to be given proper men's football. They need to be put in in situations that they're never going to be put in playing under 23s football, but they would be putting it playing League Two, League One, Championship opposition. You know, like I say, seasoned, you know, battle-hardened competitors where they will be asked questions of, and they better have the answer. And if they have the answer, then maybe they can do something in the Premier League. But they need to be tested. It's real simple. I'm with you 100%. Arthur Masuaku.
Oh mate, I'm not a fan. I'm afraid. All the hype on this geezer, I just don't see it myself. He's got fancy footwork. He can't cross the ball, let alone the road. The only time he ever gets anything on target is when he's spitting at people. Like, I'm sorry, but he's just not good enough, mate. Like, everyone raves about him. Yeah, he carries the ball well, right? But he can't defend. He can't cross. His passing ability is iffy at best. And I'm sorry, but like, he's been with us 6 years, and I'm sorry, but we need a fresh approach now. Like, get someone younger. It's all right having fancy footwork, but if you can't do the basics, then I'm sorry, but I just don't see it myself in Masuaku. I don't know about you, Rob.
No, I think that's entirely fair. I think the criticism can be levelled at him that he can take the ball from a deep lying position into a sort of like a more advanced position, but it's then what he then does with the ball, you know, it's quality there on a consistent enough basis, and that's the problem for me. I think if we play four at the back, I've got to be honest, I don't see any way that Arthur Masuaku fits in. If we play a wing-back system, there's a place for him as the left wing-back. But
he makes too many. He makes too many mistakes, though, Rob. Like, if I'm honest,
I don't disagree.
Like, in the Liverpool game this season, I know it was an iffy decision, but he's chucking his leg out for Salah to go over. Like, when he first turned up, I was excited. He looked quite decent. I'm not knocking him as a man, but as a footballer, I just look at him that he's done a lot of things with us, but I don't see, like, let's be honest, when you see, say, Arthur Masuaku, it's like, I don't see any sort of, like, buzz on him. Do you know what I mean? He runs, he carries the ball well, but his passing's terrible. He can't tackle. Yeah, and the thing is, when you've got a person who's a bit iffy in a defensive position, he's going to give the ball away. And every time he gets the ball, I worry that he's going to give the ball away. And I look at him, and I look at Kafal, and I know, like, they're both the sort of that same position, but different sides.
Yeah. And
Kafal is miles ahead of him. Miles.
Oh, no comparison, is there?
Yeah. So to me, like, I had this argument, right? This is one of the ones that you've left till last, and this is one that really grates me big time, right? But with him, I can't see it how West Ham fans can say, oh, well, he's a good player, he's this, he's that. Are you telling me that we can't go out and find a better left wing back? Because I can go to Norwich right now and go, right, Max Aarons, he's 100%, right, his job done, yeah. So to me, I'm going to say see on him, because I think he's been with us 6 years, and what's he really done? Not a lot. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I think that's an entirely fair assessment, mate. You know, and like I say, I think he's got skills. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's a pub player by any stretch, but like I say, I do think that the criticism that he can transfer the ball from back to front, but then can he then play the killer ball for the strikers to be able to sort of make something of? Well, that's an entirely different thing. And for me, I could completely understand someone turning around and saying, as you have, that, I just think that there are better options out there. And you mentioned one of them, Max Aarons. So, he's out the door, the James squad. So there you go. I know exactly who I'm gonna leave till last. So I'm gonna go with this fella here, Thomas Souček.
Love him, brilliant. Coming to the club, long-term future for me. I see a quote the other day: 26 million from Barcelona. They want to times that by about 3, if not 4.
Yeah.
We've got a box to box. I call Rice and Souček the dream team because they are the dream team. They're both box to box. Souček's more the advancing player because he scores more goals, obviously, than Rice, but they complement each other totally. First class. We paid £15 million for this man, plus add-ons, which works out about 17 million in all. Best bit of money we signed. And I'll be honest with you, him and Bowen were the reasons why we stayed up last season. I think he's been top class. Yeah, top class.
Has he got 11 goals since he signed for us? And again, for a deep lying midfielder, that is absolutely crazy. And for Barcelona to come in for him, I mean, that just them coming in, I think, says absolute, volumes about what he's, the sort of impact he's made. But I have to say that 26 million, I was just like, same as you. I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Insult.
That's ridiculous. Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
And all right, you can turn around and go, we only played, 19 million for him a year and a bit ago. That's fine. But at the same time, it's like, you can't tell me that the value he's added. Yeah. You can't tell me that the value he's added. Yeah. You can't tell me that the value that has been added to him by him coming in and scoring 11 or however many goals in the Premier League since then. You can't tell me that he's only added £7 million to his price tag in that time. No, that's
not
ridiculous. I'm sorry. As a deep lying midfielder scoring 11 goals in basically a calendar year thereabouts. No, I'm sorry. I mean, for me, I think if I turned around and said 60 million as a sort of ballpark point, just for me to maybe entertain it as a possibility. I'm not saying that 60 million quid might sell him, but just Rob.
Let me ask you this: how much did Bruno Fernandes cost?
Oh, I think he was just under the 60 million mark, wasn't he? I think he was about 50 something.
Now, Thomas Souček has been performing better than Fernandes has been performing. Now, take Fernandes' penalties away.
Yeah.
Right. There you go. There's your answer. So I agree with you totally. If the starting fee would be 50 million for me, and it goes up. 26 million is an insult. So definitely 100%. Stays with us for a hell of a long time.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, mate. The geezer's an absolute machine. I mean, what was it? The game, the Tottenham game, where he basically had his head opened up.
Yeah.
He's gone on the deck. And did he roll around screaming and crying to try and get the free kick? No. His first instinct was to get up and defend the second ball. And that just speaks volumes of the man. I mean, the guy is an absolute machine. Like I say, I turned around to someone, I can't remember who it was, and I made the joke. I turned around and said, he's not human. He's like Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator. He's a T-800 that's been sent back in time to save West Ham. So I mean, you're right. He's been absolutely just different gravy. Simple as that. So, Darren Randolph.
This is a tricky one for me because if West Ham go out and sign a goalkeeper, then he should go. I'm going to say I'm unsure with Randolph. The reason being is I just think if Martin goes out, we either promote Trott up to number 3 goalkeeper, keep Randolph there, keep Fab there, keep the 3 of them. I'm going to say unsure on Randolph. If the ball go out and buy a goalkeeper, then maybe I'll change that to see you later. But I'm going to say unsure on Randolph there for me.
Yeah, it's in the balance, isn't it? So
no,
I think Randolph. I think he's a very good Championship goalkeeper, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's not even a half decent Premier League goalkeeper for me now. I mean, maybe when he was in his first stint and he he replaced Adrian for a spell, and obviously he was the goalkeeper in the last game at Upton Park. People tend to forget that, and around that time, I think he, he was comparable with Adrian. I think he was he wasn't a million miles away from Adrian, but for me, Randolph, even against a 35-year-old injury-prone or more injury-prone Lucas Fabianski, there's a lot more of a disparity between those two for me. And as soon as I found out that Fabianski was out and Randolph was in, there was that little part of me that was like, oh dear. And I do sit there and I sort of analyze this, I watched some of the replays afterwards, and I don't know whether this is because my position was goalkeeper, and I did look at that first goal and think, well, for starters, the ball as it was played in from De Bruyne on City's right flank, he plays it in with his left, an arcing ball. Now, would Lucas Fabianski or any other decisive goalkeeper have actually tried to come out and claim it, or at least put the defender off by coming out and influencing or just reacting better to Diaz's header in the first place? Randolph did neither.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with what you're saying there. I think the only reason why that was is because it's lack of game time. Like if he's playing all the time, then maybe it's a different story. I think if you had got Fabianski in goal, he might possibly save that. But hindsight, but I agree with you. He's a championship goalkeeper at best. He might play for Ireland. Another one. He plays for Ireland. He might be Ireland's number one, but what do they do? Yeah. So not for me. I'm going to say unsure on that one for me, Rob.
I think that's fair. I think that's absolutely fair. And like you say, I think if a new goalkeeper does come in the summer, which for me is an absolute must, then I think Darren Randolph's days at London Stadium are coming to an end. Next player on the hit list, second to last, is Manny Longello.
Manny Longello?
Yeah.
Another
youth player. Yeah.
Another youth player.
Yeah. We don't know enough about him to really sort of get our teeth into him, do we? That's the thing.
That's right, mate. So for me, if I don't know anything about a player, I can't judge him. So it's unsure for me.
Yeah. I don't think there's much more to be said there, mate. It is what it is. So now I'm going to draw everyone's attention to this. I've done this on purpose. I have left the best till last. Ladies and gentlemen, James Feaver is going to give his analysis on the legend that is Mark Noble.
Well, what can I say about this man? I think loyalty is a lot in football, and it's very rare nowadays for players to stay with one club. I think he's been top class for us. He's been through hell, Noble. He has been through hell with this club. I think playoff final defeats, FA Cup defeat. Then you had the Icelandic bankruptcy, possible administration with the club. Then the GSB decided to turn up. Then there was relegation again. Eventually, we got promoted in 2012, and since then we've been in the Premier League ever since. He's been loyal. He's been hardworking. He's been passionate. I can't say any more about the man. I think what he's done now, handing the captaincy over to Rice, is perfect. Is it time to say goodbye? I think it's entirely up to him. I think, if I'm honest, and if I was to have money on it, I think he stays another season, waits for fans to come in, then he goes. I think what he said at the start of the season about Diangana publicly was the right thing. Like, he said it a few years ago. He said he needs players at the club. You can't keep relying on a man who's losing his pace, especially in the midfield area. And I believe in the next, say, 5 to 10 years, if he's not involved with West Ham at some point, I'll be stunned. whether that's a coaching role, scouting role, under 23 role, manager role, or whatnot. I think he's been top class. And I can't really say any more praise about him. He's never been a world-class player. He's been a very, very good player, but he's that very, very good player has been through thick and thin with us. And yeah, he's always stood his ground and stood with us and just said, you know what, I'm not going to leave you using the shit, basically. I'm going to help you get back to, because it means something to him, because he knows what it means to the fans. So for me, I'm going to say unsure on Noble, because I am unsure. I don't understand. I don't know what he's thinking, whether he's thinking it's time to say goodbye and maybe go into a coaching role, take his badges or whatnot, or it's another season and then it's he might leave, like retire. So yeah, it's unsure for me, but that's nothing against him. That's basically me saying that I'm unsure what he's thinking. Like, he might turn up at the end of the season and say, you know what, it's been great, but I'm going to announce my retirement. Or he might say, you know what, give me another year here and wait for the fans to come in and retire. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I'm hoping against hope that we get the chance to say goodbye to him, that he gets the chance to say goodbye to us. I agree. I think the guy is a club legend. Yes, you're right. He's never been at any stage of his career world class. Having said that, I do honestly think he should have gone to the Euros in 2016, because the form he was in at that point was just out of this world in my book, and how he never got on even into the standby squad was something I just couldn't get my head around at the time, and still can't. But yeah, I mean, for me, I hope that he feels that he can still contribute to the team next season. Yes, it will be in a limited capacity. It will be for probably even less than he's been involved in this season. Because we'll probably have hopefully more quality players coming into his position, which will make his chances even more limited than they are at the minute. And also the fact that he's going to have a little bit more miles on the clock, a little bit less gas in the tank. So naturally, it'll be sort of like diminishing returns that we'll get. But I just hope that we get the opportunity as a fan base to say thank you and to say, you know, fare thee well, Mr. Noble, on your way, and whatever you do going forth from this moment. We wish you the best of luck. It's that simple. But Mark Noble has earned the right to decide when the time is right to call it a day. And if it is this season, which I hope it isn't, but if it is, then again, I wish him the very best, because he's been a magnificent servant to West Ham United, and it is very rare, as you said, to have a one club man. I mean, especially now in modern football in the year 2021, it's virtually doesn't happen. So he's a rarity.
Totally agree. Yeah.
So
totally agree.
There you go.
Totally agree.
Well, that completes your player tier list. So just to run through it for ladies and gentlemen, we have long-term future. We have Alves, Benrahma, Bowen, Soufal, Diop, Fornals, Johnson, Lingard, Rice, Soucek. Only got a season or two. In that category, we have Antonio, Cresswell, Dawson, Fabianski, Ogbonna. Stars of the future, perhaps, we have Aji Alese, Jamal Baptiste, and Adamipo Odebeko. We have an entire raft of kids, pretty much. Afolayan, Akinola, Lewis, Coventry, Ashby, Zande Silva, Trott, Randolph, and Mark Noble himself, and Manny Longello. And as far as the departures from James's squad for next season, for whatever reason, we have Anderson, Balbuena, Cardoso, Fredericks, Lanzini, Holland, Reed, Yarmolenko, David Martin, and Arthur Masuaku. So, James, you've been ruthless there. You got rid of quite a lot there, mate.
Yeah, but the thing is, you've got to look at it that some of these players have been there for a hell of a long time.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it is, if they're not going to get any better with the amount of time they've been at the club, they're not going to get better in the future. So for me, I think youth is coming in West Ham, but we need to start buying some players who are going to be here for 3, 4, 5 years. Like, for example, you've gone out and bought Bowen. He's a long term. Fornals is a long term. Souček's a long term. Obviously, until these big clubs come in, if they want them, they're going to have to pay the money. But yeah, I think this summer is a big one for us, because like, we need to seize the moment, as I've said. If we get European football in any form, like from Champions League to UEFA Conference, we've got to embrace it and respect it for what it is. And I think we need at least 5, 6 players at the club in key positions. So yeah, I might be ruthless, but it's all for good intentions, I'm afraid.
To be fair to you, mate, there's been very little that I can honestly say that I can't see what your train of thought is. I might not agree with every single person that you've put in every single position, and that's the beauty of this. You know, no two people will have exactly the same opinion on 38 players. It's impossible. But that's the beauty of this, and that's why we want people to sort of contribute and give us their opinions, and we'll try and extrapolate all the information out of it once we're all done. So, James, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure, my friend.
Thanks a lot, mate. Thanks for having me, and I'll catch up with you again soon.
And before we depart, we'll finish as we started, again with giving a shout out to Isla's Army. Again, if you didn't see it at the beginning, guys, this is a young lady that is in urgent need of medical assistance that is not available in this country. Her family have basically got to drop their everything, stop their lives, put it all on hold, and cart this poor little girl who's very, very ill all over the place to try and save her life. And whatever you can give will be much appreciated, from £1 to £10 to £50, whatever the amount is, guys. If you've got anything, I mean, listen, we're all having a hard time of it at the minute. I don't sort of sit there and think that everyone's on easy street. You know, in the middle of a pandemic, we're all struggling. But guys, just imagine that you've got a little girl, your daughter or your granddaughter, or any relative, you know, that you've got, young child. Imagine that you're struggling with that. So guys, if that strikes a chord with you and you think you can help, please do. We much appreciate it, and the family will thank you for it. I guarantee you that. So, James, I'm going to pop you in the green room. Don't go anywhere, because we'll have a little chat once I finish them broadcast. But ladies and gentlemen, that was James Fatboy Feaver.
Thanks for having me, mate. Take care.
Appreciate it. So thank you very much for joining me, guys. I'm Gatesy, Force from Iron. You can see the ticker at the bottom. Usual things apply. Please comment on the video below. Tell us your thoughts, whether you agree, disagree. You know, there's plenty to get your teeth into there. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. As soon as we upload any new content, you will be the first to know. You can also join us on Twitter at Forge Talk, and obviously Facebook as well, Forge from Iron. Thanks for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe. Only one thing left to say. On to Leeds with the 3 points. Come on, you Irons.